to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell and I'm an exercise physiologist. I've been in business since 1994. That is a long time. Today's topic is do hard things, or we'll call it who's the boss. All right. Before we do that, let me thank our sponsors, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden at the Gilden Group at Realty Pros. They currently have over 275 star reviews on Zillow and over 100 million in sales. That means they are absolutely doing something right. They are doing the hard work, which is what this podcast is about. They're doing the hard things. They have to be, or they're not going to have that kind of success. They can be reached at 386-451-2412, call or text, or at thegildengroup.com. All right, so who is the boss? I also listen to podcasts. I think it's a great way to learn. For me, I'm a very auditory learner, love to listen, and put on my AirPods, and when I'm running, when I'm biking, when I'm lifting, when I'm swimming, not really, seeing if you're paying attention, I'm listening to a podcast typically, or music. So in one of the podcasts I listened to, the guy was talking about he's made it a habit to take really ice cold showers. And at first I'm thinking, why? Like, one of my favorite things to do, well, not anymore, it's been ruined because of this, was to take like a hot shower, especially like after a swim, where I just liked hot showers, they felt good. But, I was noticing some dry skin and all that, and so, just from a health perspective, the advice was to take colder showers, but at least finish with cold water. So I thought it was the perfect time to challenge myself a little bit. But anyway, he went on, and he has different kinds of performance coaches and sports psychologists and people like that on his show often. And they went on to talk about how, like, it's a practice that they do to literally kind of safely show who's the boss. Because obviously it is safe to take a cold shower. It's not like you're doing something to challenge fears that's dangerous, or challenge discomfort that's dangerous. It's pretty benign, right? But it does suck, and at first it was like really hard, to take a cold shower. It's like, God, this is so uncomfortable, and like when I turn around and the water, it like goes down to my back, I'm like, oh. But it really helps. But more importantly than that, it's the mindset, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. I think exercise, training, and fitness is an area where we can really attack this. And I do think it's important to do the hard things, So we don't want to. Our DNA says, take the easy way out, the path of least resistance. Our DNA literally says if we have the option between running, walking, standing, sitting, and lying down, we want to lie down. That's not necessarily being lazy unless we're doing it at inappropriate times, and it's the choice we shouldn't take at the time. So in other words, all those things have their place, right? But like, our body is always going to want to take the easiest way. Its job is to essentially keep us alive and conserve energy. So that's what it does. So we have to be the boss on certain things, and say, nope, we're going to do this. So, I brought this up to a friend one day. She's a sarcastic friend, which I really appreciate, because she kind of gives it back to me. And I said, hey, have you ever like just challenged yourself and taken ice cold showers? And she's like, no, why? And she probably called me a name. And I said, because, it's uncomfortable, and, it's kind of like challenging that level of being uncomfortable. And she snarkily shoots back at me, well, touching my fingertips to a burner on a stove is uncomfortable too, but I'm not going to do that, you idiot, and I laughed because that's just her humor. But, and of course, doing that is not a smart thing to do, but taking an ice cold shower isn't going to burn you or hurt you, right? So the whole concept, because that's the important thing, the concept, whatever you choose to do, I think physically, it's a great way to challenge yourself, your side that doesn't want to be uncomfortable. And you know what, as a coach, as a physiologist, I notice, and including myself, I think in my case, I can recognize it, which I think recognizing it is so important, that we don't want to be uncomfortable. I mean, we just don't. And as a coach and a trainer and a physiologist, like in the gym, when we're doing leg extensions, which I talked about on my last podcast, or we're doing squats for a lot of reps and that respiration rate gets up, and on leg extension, when that lactic acid gets up, man, that is unfreaking comfortable, right? I mean, you just want to stop. Or when I'm in the pool and I'm doing some intervals where, when you're really pushing hard and you're really close to your top respiration rate and heart rate, it is uncomfortable, You just want to stop, of course, but it's by challenging that we get better. And this is the part I want to add today. I think we all know that if we push past the level of discomfort, we're going to get more fit. I think we know that, Of course, we don't push to the point of pain to injury. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when it burns on like working out with weights, that you say, you know what, I've got another 2 or 3 in me. That's what I'm talking about. Or when you're running an interval and you're running faster than your 5K pace or whatever your target is, and it's hard, of course, and you say to yourself, God, I just want to stop, and you don't. And not only do you not stop, but you don't slow down. Like, you push until the end. You push to the best of your ability to the end. I think we all know after workouts like that, we feel so accomplished. We feel so good. This isn't about how not to overtrain, and no, of course there's limits we have to do with all this. I'm talking about how do we challenge that of how to stand being uncomfortable. And it is not just physically, it's also emotionally and mentally as well. And I watch that with the people that I coach and train. Naturally in the leg extension, it's pretty obvious. You see the muscles burning, you see them stopping and kind of slapping their legs. And, I get it, it hurts. And then as a coach and a trainer, we encourage them to keep going because we want them to get better. And sometimes, well, not sometimes, the only way the muscles get stronger is if we challenge them past the point that they've been before. So we do have to go to volitional fatigue. So even though it really hurts, we've got to finish those repetitions, okay? So, but it's not just about getting more fit. I think when we learn to do it, we're better able to take on life's challenges. And that's the point behind the guy I listen to. He's a fitness guy, like he runs, but that's not what he does. He's more of like a business coach and a mentor coach style of guy. How to be better at your life. Talking about issues of body, mind, and spirit. And like I said, I love listening to him. It's the Daily Stoic for those that want another podcast to listen to after you've listened to mine, of course. But anyway, you can listen to him. He's great. But, I get a lot of different tips and stuff from him. But it's really about challenging that so you can learn how to be the boss. So you're not always the slave to your desires. You're not always the slave to your laziness. You're not always the slave to your ADHD or whatever it might be. You are going to stay in control. And that's one of the reasons I push now. I've raced faster times, of course, when I was in my 20s and 30s and 40s even. That's when you're kind of at your peak and endurance stuff. So, but I still like to push. Yeah, sure, I want to get better, but I really want to get better at owning myself. That's where I want to be better. So, I'll do a hard portion of a workout, not because I'm going to say, oh, this is going to get me a trophy at the next race. It's like, no, because I want to and overcome any level of discomfort that I have. I want to try to push that. That's why I do it. And again, it's not just the physical, it's the mental too. I'll notice people that really have a hard time not doing certain activities without devices, like even like on their phone, literally like on Facebook during a spin workout or something. It's like, that's an example too. I mean, believe it or not, that's an example of not being able to say no. So essentially the sensation or the feeling they're having is a feeling of boredom, which I think we all get, and I can really struggle with it. Well, how do we make those muscles stronger? We make them stronger by dialing in and focusing on what we should be focusing on and saying, no, during these activities, I'm not going to have my phone. I'm the boss. I'm not. I'm going to sit here and be absolutely bored, if that's the case, on my spin bike, which is me and my instructor, or me alone, me and my, if we're listening to a podcast or music, fine. But I would even argue that if you really have a problem with that, learn to do some workouts without anything and really push that level of being uncomfortable. Just be uncomfortably bored until you're not bored anymore. I mean, that's the reality. That's why meditation works so well, and it really does work, not because, I'm saying it's boring, but because it forces you to sit in that level of whatever you're feeling. Eventually maybe people feel absolute peace when they do it, but early on they might feel just levels of boredom, and it forces them to stay in it as long as they can and challenge that without any phone, without any whatever. So I really think we have a problem with in our industry of not teaching that enough, that it's okay to be uncomfortable. We want to be uncomfortable. We don't want to be in pain. There's a difference, but we want to learn to be, uncomfortable. I mean, today everybody is, doing selfies at the gym. They're videoing some of their workout, That's a level of emotional need as well. Like, that's a level of, I need to show everybody what I'm doing, and then you're not really focusing in on why you're there. So you're being a slave again to attention. So, it's hard for you maybe to go through the day without attention, and I'm not trying to knock anybody for that, but everybody's got different levels of what they need. They might need validation, they might need attention, they might need comfort, so they never want to overly sweat in a workout, or they don't want to sweat at all, or they don't want their muscles to burn, or they don't want their legs to burn, or they don't want to feel, like a little dizzy from super high heart rate or whatever, And by the way, if you don't have anything pre-existing condition, that's not dangerous or anything. Like, working really hard isn't dangerous, If you don't have a pre-existing condition, it's actually really good for you. And even if you do have a pre-existing condition, you get the okay from your doctor where to push, and then you try to push those limits as well. I mean, your body is going to absolutely tell you when you really need to back off. It is. It's designed. It's a great machine. It really is. So, don't fear that. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable. And I just think that physical training is one of the best ways we can do that. And in a way, the ice showers and all that, that is a physical test, right? So there are ways we can challenge that and say, you know what, I'm going to be uncomfortable. And like I said, a lot of the times that's my mindset going into workouts. It's not all of it, but there are parts of it where I say, I'm just going to learn to push through this. I mean, that's why I like to race. It's like, sure, I mean, it might be fun if there's competition out there or whatever. I'm not saying any of that stuff can't be fun, but it's really, how do I push through boundaries? Because I know I'm going to get challenged. I know it. There's going to come a point in it where something in me says, dude, it's hot, it's humid, back off. And what choice am I going to make? Am I going to say, no, man, been here before, push through? Or am I going to listen to that ugly side that says back off, And we know how I'm going to feel afterwards if I back off, right? I'm going to feel like a quitter. And if I don't, I'm going to feel accomplished. And that has nothing to do with where I finished on the podium. Like, that's the kind of stuff I think after a while we learn to mature our way out of, It's like, what really comes down to it is, did we give our best? And did we push? And who was the boss, Who was the boss? oh, I have this going on, I'm going to bail on my workout today. Okay, your body's the boss. Whatever. You're a slave, Well, I got this going on, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it. There's no reason why I shouldn't do this. Okay, you're the boss. I think that makes us stronger. And I definitely believe in the body, mind, spirit connection. So, the more we do that physically, I think the more it's going to basically spoil over into the mental and the spiritual side as well. All right, so get a little uncomfortable today. It's not going to hurt you. Remember, we do not get better without being uncomfortable. If we're not uncomfortable when we're swimming laps in the pool, we're not becoming a more proficient swimmer. If we're not uncomfortable when we're on the bike at some points, you're not becoming a better cyclist. If you're not uncomfortable when you run at certain points, you're not becoming a better runner. If you're not uncomfortable in the gym when you're lifting weights, you are not getting better. You are not getting stronger. There's just no physical way. But through that, you'll get mentally and spiritually stronger too, which is, I think, what we all really deep down are seeking. All right, tip of the day. So until next time, be max fit and be max well.